Hello from Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you a new, challenging but absolutely charming new Tunisian crochet stitch. Ready? So I've named today's Tunisian crochet stitch the Tunisian mushroom stitch. This stitch produces an incredibly interesting texture, as you can see. The Tunisian mushroom stitch can be worked from a chain in an even number of stitches. It does not curl at all. And this is how it looks on the back. But let's move on to the stitch pattern. So here I have started from a standard foundation row in Tunisian crochet of 10 stitches. Please remember that I will leave all useful links to the stitches and techniques used in this video, both in the description below, and you can find it in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So the foundation row counts for me as row number 1. This stitch, as I said, is a little bit of a challenging stitch, but it is worth the efforts, I promise. So it is made further from the foundation row of 2 setup rows, let's call them like this, and 2 rows repetition that you can use and repeat for the remaining of the project you are doing in the Tunisian mushroom stitch. So let's start with setup row number 1. We begin very simply with a Tunisian purl stitch. So you bring the yarn to the front, wrap it around the hook, then you insert the hook under the next vertical bar from right to left, excluding and not considering the beginning border vertical bar that's already used and taken from the loop on the hook that counts as stitch number 1. So as I said, purl stitch, we insert the hook here, bring the yarn to the back again, yarn over, and pull through that loop on the hook, and this is the Tunisian purl stitch. And we proceed with a Tunisian simple stitch that is done, as you know, by inserting the hook very simply under the next vertical bar from right to left, yarn over, pull through, and bring the loop on the hook. And that's stitch number 3. And we proceed like this until the end of the forward pass, alternating between purl stitch and simple stitch. Purl, simple, purl, simple, and we finish our forward pass as usual with an end stitch, a so-called neat closing stitch, by inserting the hook both under the front vertical bar of that last border stitch and its back bar, which is here. Okay, until we have this situation here. So we yarn over, pull through, and drop a loop on the hook. And that's 10 loops on the hook. So, and the return pass in this case for setup row number 1 is the standard one. So we yarn over and pull through 1 loop only first. Then we yarn over and pull through 2 loops together. Repeating the second movement, yarn over and pull through 2 loops together until the end of the return pass and until the end of the row, until we are left with just 1 loop on the hook. Okay, now let's proceed with setup row number 2. So we will begin with a yarn over, then we will insert the hook, keeping the yarn of the yarn over in place with our finger like this. We go and insert the hook under the first vertical bar, this one. And this is a so-called Tunisian slip stitch because we left the stitch unworked, so to speak. And then always keeping the yarn in place with our fingers if need be, we will proceed making a purl stitch into the following stitch. So we need to bring the yarn to the front, insert the hook under the next vertical bar, bring the yarn to the back again, and pull through that one loop. Okay, this is how we will proceed until the end of the forward pass. So once again, yarn over, insert the hook under the next vertical bar, bring the yarn to the front and wrap it around the hook. Then insert the hook under the next vertical bar and make a purl stitch. So once again, yarn over, slip stitch under next vertical bar, and then purl stitch under next stitch, like so. Once again, yarn over, then slip stitch into next stitch, and purl stitch into next stitch. Okay? And here we will make our neat closing stitch into the border stitch, like so, and pull up a loop. Now, if we count the loops, the number of loops we have on the hook now, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we have more loops on the hook than the number of chains we had at the beginning. But this is absolutely okay. But it is important, if you have difficulties with this stitch pattern at the beginning, to count the number of loops you pull up in the forward pass, because you need to stick to that number in all future rows, okay? So we have chained 10 stitches and now we have pulled up 14 loops on the hook. Now, for setup row number 2, we have a return pass that's different than the standard one. So we begin with a chain, chain 1, or let's say yarn over and pull through 1 loop only. And then we proceed by yarning over and pulling through 2 loops together at first. Then we yarn over and pull through 3 loops together this time. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we yarn over and pull through 2 loops together. And then we alternate with these two methods of casting off stitches from the hook. So we yarn over and pull through 2, then we yarn over and pull through 3. Alternating, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3. Okay? Now let's continue with the row repetition number 1. Okay, so this is the situation I'm in. So I will begin very simply with a purl stitch. So we prepare the yarn by bringing it to the front of the hook. Then we go and insert the hook, pay attention, under both of these vertical bars here. So here, okay? And then we yarn over and pull through. And that's stitch number 2. And now we will repeat what we have done in previous row. So we yarn over, make a slip stitch in next stitch. Then we prepare for the next purl stitch by bringing the yarn to the front. And then we go and insert the hook under both this vertical bar here and this one. So under 2 bars together. Yarn over, pull through, and complete the purl stitch. So yarn over, insert the hook under next vertical bar. This is a slip stitch. Then we will make a purl stitch under both of these 2 bars together. So here and here. Yarn over and pull through and complete the purl stitch. Yarn over, slip stitch on the next stitch, purl stitch under these 2 bars together, like so. So how many loops do we have on the hook now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Okay, so we yarn over, that's 12. We insert the hook under the next vertical bar, that's 13. And then we go and insert the hook here as a neat closing stitch. And that's number 14. So we yarn over, pull through, and drop a loop. And we have 14 loops on the hook. And the return pass for this repetition row number 1 is as follows. So we yarn over and pull through one loop only first. This is always the same beginning for our return passes. But now we will yarn over and begin with a pull through 3 together first. And then we proceed by alternating. So we yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3, yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 3, pull through 2, pull through 3, and now we pull through 2 and 2. Okay? So let's move on to row repetition number 2. So here we will begin again with a yarn over. Then we go and insert the hook under the next vertical bar, making a slip stitch, so to speak. And then we make the purl stitch into the next stitch that is again formed by both of these vertical bars together. Okay? So, and this is how we count stitches. So we have 4 stitches now. So the yarn over is 5, then the slip stitch is 6, and the purl stitch is 7. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we finish as usual and make our 14th stitch by making a neat closing stitch here into the border stitch. There you go. And the return pass begins with a chain 1, and then just like 2 rows before, we will begin with a yarn over and pull through 2, and then we will alternate with a yarn over, pull through 3, pull through 2, pull through 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, and 2. Okay, and that was row repetition number 2. So this is it. Now you can proceed in row after row by repeating the repetitions of row number 1, row number 2. Sorry, repetition row number 1 and repetition row number 2. That is to say the 4th and the 5th rows in this case, because I remind you that the foundation row was row number 1, the first setup row was row number 2, the second setup row was row number 3, and then we began with the 2 rows repetitions. Okay, so we can understand and we can identify how we need to work row after row by recognizing the stitches we need to work into. So here we have these 2 vertical bars as first stitch of next row of the forward pass. That is to say the long one and the short one parallel and close together. So we know that we need to begin with a purl stitch. So we bring the yarn to the front, insert the hook under both of them, and complete our purl stitch. Here we have the purl stitch of previous row, so we know that we need to make a yarn over and a slip stitch. and so we proceed. And once again, I suggest you count stitches so as to know how to end the forward pass of each repetition until you learn it by hand. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, and 14. And also the return pass. I immediately learned that after our first chain 1, or let's say yarn over and pull through 1 loop only first, we recognize by the look of the stitches if we need to begin with a yarn over and pull through 3 or with a yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, in this case, I know by the look of the stitches that I need to begin with a yarn over and pull through 3. And then I follow with a pull through 2, pull through 3, and the repetition row number 2. What do we have here? This is the purl stitch of previous row, so we need to begin with a yarn over and slip stitch into first stitch. And then we proceed by alternating, making a purl stitch, then yarn over and slip stitch, purl stitch, and so on. So, as you see, after the first rows, you can already see the beautiful and one-of-a-kind texture of this stitch forming, which I have here as well. I mean, it's maybe even clearer to see since I've worked a couple of rows more here. You see these small horizontal bars that form and make a beautiful design with the vertical bars together, right? So I love this stitch, I must say. Yes, it is a little bit difficult to memorize, but I can see beautiful items, clothing items, or even blankets or cushion covers done in this beautiful stitch. So if you have a project in which you don't have to do increases or decreases much, or I don't know, working in the round, it could be a little bit complicated. But if you have a flat project where you have a number of stitches that is set and does not change much throughout the pattern, then this could be the right stitch for you. So I hope you liked this stitch again. Thank you for watching, and please let me remind you that I have just opened a second channel that will be on Tunisian crochet and brioche crochet only. This new channel is called Hookloops with 3 S's at the end, and it is in Italian. I am going over the basics of Tunisian crochet, everything from the beginning again. As I said, it is in Italian. I'm having a lot of fun with it because I'm able to speak in my my native language. And don't worry, if you want to subscribe there and take a look at my videos there, I am adding subtitles in various languages. English, of course, is the first one. So it would be great if you could subscribe there and maybe leave comments and just to take a look at it if you want. And that's it really this time for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.